Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I'm about to share. I know it might be difficult for you to believe, and I completely understand if it makes you feel uncomfortable or unsettled. After all, it's a lot to process, and I've had to live with it myself. But I promise you, everything I'm about to tell you is the truth, and it has shaped me in ways I can't even begin to explain. My name is James Andrew, and I am here today to tell you about something that happened to me when I was only 13 years old. Something so life-altering that it forever changed my understanding of everything: life, death, eternity. It's not a story I tell lightly. It's not something that's easy to share, but it's also not something I can keep to myself. I need to speak about it, to let people know. Because it's the kind of experience that shakes you to your very core, and it's one that I carry with me every single day. So please, hear me out. Before I begin telling you everything that happened to me, I want to ask something of you. It might seem small, but it's meaningful to me. Where are you listening from right now? Isn't it amazing that, despite the distance between us, we can connect through stories, through experiences? I can't see you, but I know that we're sharing something powerful. So take a moment, if you feel comfortable, to share where you're tuning in from. Because, in some way, I believe this story can bridge that distance, no matter where you are in the world. And if, as I speak, something about my experience resonates with you, please take a moment to leave a like or a comment. I don't need praise, but I do believe that by sharing our experiences and listening to each other, we grow together. We open up new perspectives, and we help one another face the complexities of life without fear of judgment. This space is one of honesty, of vulnerability, and of genuine connection. So if you feel moved to, please don't hesitate to engage. Now, I need you to go back with me in time to February 12th, 2019. It started off like any other day. I woke up at 5:30 a.m., an hour that had become routine for me because I was a swimmer, a serious one. Swimming wasn't just a sport to me, it was my passion. It had been since I was 6 years old. I had spent my childhood in and out of pools, learning the strokes, building endurance, and working toward my dream of becoming the best swimmer I could be. By the time I was 13, I had already reached a level of competition most kids my age only dreamed of. And this particular morning, I was determined to break my personal best in the 400-meter individual medley. It was a race that pushed every muscle in my body to its limit. My lungs burned with every breath. My legs ached with every stroke. But I loved that feeling. I was used to the strain, the discomfort. It was what drove me, what kept me going, what told me I was alive, pushing towards something greater. And that day, I was going to break my personal record. I could feel it in my bones. But that sense of determination and drive would be the last normal feeling I would have for a very long time. Without warning, and without any signs or pain, something happened that I never saw coming. My heart stopped. There was no gradual pain, no slow buildup of discomfort, nothing. Just an overwhelming weight in my chest, and then nothing. My body sank beneath the water's surface, lifeless. It wasn't dramatic. There were no flashing lights or any kind of overwhelming event. There was just this sudden crushing weight in my chest, and then darkness. Now, I know when I tell people this part of my story, they often find it hard to believe, and I get it. How could anyone truly understand something like this unless they had lived it? But trust me when I say this. What I went through that day was real. More real than anything I had experienced up until that point. When my heart stopped, something else happened. I found myself hovering above my body, as if detached from it. I could see Coach Thompson and the other swimmers, their faces full of panic and fear. They pulled my lifeless form from the water and began performing CPR, their movements frantic, desperate. They didn't know what had happened. They didn't know I was already gone. But I was watching them from above. It wasn't like I was part of it. It was like I was a bystander, witnessing everything from a distance. It wasn't frightening, though. It wasn't horrifying. It was almost calm. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't panicking. It was like I was suspended in time, floating outside of it. I was aware of everything happening around me, but I wasn't attached to it. I wasn't part of it. And then, everything changed. The pool, the people, everything I had known vanished in the blink of an eye. I found myself drawn into a tunnel so dark and alive, it felt as though it was suffocating me. This darkness wasn't just the absence of light. It was heavy. It had substance. It was something tangible, something that pressed in from all sides, enveloping me in its weight. I could feel the darkness wrap around me as if it had its own form, its own consciousness. As I struggled against it, I began to hear voices, not voices that I could understand, but voices all the same. These were not friendly voices. They were the voices of those trapped in agony, lost in a space where there was no escape. The voices were filled with despair, regret, and fear. I couldn't make out the words, but somehow I understood what they meant. These were the voices of souls who had made choices in their lives that had led them to this point of torment. They were trapped in eternal darkness, with no hope of ever finding peace. I tried to scream. I tried to cry out, but no sound came. It was as if my voice had been stolen, leaving me helpless and desperate. I fought against the pull of the darkness, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't break free. The pressure built, and with it, the overwhelming sense that there was no way out, no way to escape the crushing weight of that suffocating void. And then, just when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the darkness lifted. It didn't fade. It didn't simply disappear. It was replaced by something so brilliant, so pure. It felt as though I had been suddenly thrust into the very heart of light itself. This wasn't just any light. It was not something I had ever encountered before. This light was alive. It was energy. It filled every corner of my being, illuminating not just my surroundings, but also the very essence of who I was. It was a light that radiated with an intensity that went far beyond anything I could comprehend. And at the center of that light, there he stood, Jesus. But this was not the Jesus I had seen in pictures or imagined in my mind. This was not the gentle, peaceful figure I had read about in Sunday school books. This was something far greater, far more magnificent. This was Jesus in his full glory, majestic, awe-inspiring, and yes, terrifying in the most profound sense of the word. His presence was so overwhelming, so consuming, that I could not bear to look directly at him. When he spoke, it wasn't just a voice that reached my ears. It was a voice that resonated within the deepest parts of my being, as if every single word pierced through the very fabric of my soul. When he called my name, James, the sound of it sent a wave of emotion crashing through me. It was a love so deep, so pure, that it overwhelmed every part of me. I felt unworthy of it, yet I was completely embraced by it at the same time. I found myself on my knees, or at least I think I did, though I could not physically feel anything, bowed before him in reverence, unable to stand in his presence. And then he asked me a question. "Do you know why you are here?" I couldn't answer. How could I? What words could I possibly speak to the one who knew every part of me, every thought, every action, every choice? But he didn't wait for me to answer. He simply raised his hand, and in the blink of an eye, my entire life unfolded before me. Every single moment, every choice, every word I had ever spoken, everything was revealed to me. I saw things that I had long forgotten, moments I thought were insignificant, and the impact of those moments on others. I saw how a joke I thought was harmless had caused pain in someone's life. I saw how small acts of kindness had lifted someone's spirit without me even knowing. I saw how the ripple effect of my actions, both good and bad, had extended far beyond what I could ever have imagined. But there was something that terrified me more than anything else, something that still haunts me to this day. Jesus showed me hell, but not the way it's often depicted, not with fire and brimstone, with demons tormenting souls. No, this hell was far worse. It was a place of total, absolute separation from God, a place where despair consumed every part of existence. The darkness there wasn't just an absence of light, it was weighty, tangible, it suffocated. And in that suffocating darkness, I saw faces I knew, people I had known in my life, people I had interacted with, people who had called themselves Christians, people who had gone to church, who had said the right things, who had seemed to live righteous lives, but who had never truly surrendered their hearts to Jesus. I heard their cries for mercy, their desperate pleas for one more chance. But it was too late. The most chilling thing they said, the thing that has stayed with me all these years, was this: I thought I had more time. That's what terrifies me the most. We all think we have more time. We all think there's always tomorrow to get things right. But the truth is, none of us knows when our time will run out. Jesus raised his hand again, and before me appeared something so intense that I felt it to my very bones. The book of life. But it wasn't just a book. It was alive. It was glowing with a fiery, intense light, and the names written inside it burned with an unearthly heat. I watched as names began to disappear, flickering out like dying flames. Jesus said, "These are the ones who once knew me." He showed me names that I recognized, people from my school, my neighborhood, my church. "These are the ones who called themselves mine," he said, "but their hearts grew cold. With every sin, with every time they ignored my voice, their names faded a little more. Soon, they will be gone completely." I begged Jesus, "But Lord, they believe in you. They pray. They go to church." Jesus responded, "Many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord,' but I will tell them, 'I never knew you.' They honored me with their lips, but their hearts were far from me." What I saw next shook me to the core. Demons. I saw them walking among us, whispering lies into people's ears. They were convincing people that they didn't need to change, that they had all the time in the world. "You're good enough," they whispered. "You've been to church. You've said the right things. That's enough." And tragically, too many believed the lies. They believed they didn't have to change. They thought they could live however they wanted, and it wouldn't matter. But it does matter. Every choice, every word, every action, it all matters. And then Jesus showed me the future. I saw a world filled with darkness, a world where evil was called good, and good was called evil. I saw Christians being persecuted, and it broke my heart because I realized that we don't have much time left. We are living in a world where we're distracted by meaningless things, phones, entertainment, politics, and all the while time is slipping away. Then Jesus showed me what happens when it's too late. I saw people reaching out for mercy, but there was no one there to answer. The door of grace had closed, and they were lost. But Jesus turned to me and said, "This is why you died today, so you could see the truth and warn others. Time is shorter than they know." And now I'm here with this message. Please don't wait. Don't wait until it's too late. Time is running out. The choices you make today matter. They matter for eternity. The narrow gate, a call to surrender and salvation. Jesus said that the gate is narrow and few find it, not because he doesn't want everyone to find it, but because many don't truly want him. They want a God who will let them live however they want. But salvation requires surrender. It requires everything. Don't wait. Time is running out. The door is closing. I begged him, Lord, how can I make them understand? They won't believe me. Some won't, he replied, but some will. Tell them what you've seen. Tell them that believing in me isn't enough. Demons believe in me too. Going to church isn't enough. Being a good person isn't enough. They must surrender everything to me before it's too late. So, this is why I'm sharing my story. Time is shorter than we think. Please, don't wait. But Jesus simply repeated, tell them what you've seen. Time is running out. The moment I was revived was nothing short of surreal. I gasped for air, every breath coming in sharp and uneven, my chest aching as my body fought to reclaim life. The overwhelming panic that surged through me was unlike anything I had ever felt. I was lying on the cold, hard surface of the pool deck, surrounded by paramedics who were frantically working to stabilize me, but it felt as though my soul was still caught in the tension between two worlds. My body had been dead for nearly 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 36 seconds to be precise. They called it a miracle, the fact that I had returned to life. But the miracle wasn't that I had simply come back. No, the real miracle was the message I had been given, the knowledge that I had returned for a purpose greater than myself, to share what I had seen and what I had been shown. The very first night I came home from the hospital, the spiritual warfare began. It was as if a veil had lifted, and I could see, feel, and sense things I had never been aware of before. At exactly 3 a.m., the stillness of the night was broken by an icy chill in the room. It was a coldness so deep, so unnatural that I could see my own breath form small clouds of vapor in front of me. The air itself seemed suffocating, like it was frozen in time. Then I saw it, the shadow. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, but as I focused, I realized that this shadow was far darker than the room itself. It was the absence of light, a presence that seemed to absorb everything around it, bending the very air to its will. And then I heard it, the voice. It was familiar, one I had heard before in the realm where I had been, the same mocking, twisted tone that still echoed in my ears. It spoke with an authority that chilled me to my core. They won't believe you, it said, its voice a low, mocking whisper that reverberated in the stillness of the room. You should stay quiet. Who would listen to a kid anyway? It was as if the very forces that had sought to deceive me in the spiritual world had followed me back into this life. They were relentless, determined to stop me from sharing the truth I had witnessed. The attacks didn't stop there. Night after night they came, but in different forms. Sometimes they were invisible, just a sinister presence I could feel watching me from the corners of the room, their eyes glowing like burning coals in the darkness. Other times, they were more direct. I would hear faint whispers at first, like a wind passing through the room, but then the whispers would grow louder, turning into horrifying images of hell, visions of flames and screams, of lost souls, of torment. These demonic forces would try to scare me into silence. They tried to convince me that what I had seen was a dream, a figment of my imagination, or even that I had somehow gone crazy. Maybe it wasn't real, they would whisper. Maybe you're just making it all up. Maybe you're just a kid who doesn't understand. But I knew. I knew what I had seen. I knew that the visions were real, that the demons were real, and that their attempts to silence me were not just about stopping my story. They were about keeping others in the dark, keeping the truth hidden. They wanted to make sure that the message I had been given never reached the ears of those who needed to hear it. The message was not about me, not about my experience. It was far greater than that. It was a warning to a world that is running out of time. There is no sugarcoating it, no way to soften the truth. Something terrible is already unfolding. It isn't something in the future. It is here, now. The demons I saw in the spiritual realm were not mere shadows. They were real. They were working. And they were relentless. Their job was to deceive people, to convince them that they had all the time in the world, that they could live however they wanted and still be okay. But it's a lie that has taken root in the hearts of so many. People are spiritually blind, unable to see the danger they're in, and unable to recognize the battle that is raging for their souls. Jesus showed me that the world is divided into 3 groups of people, and each group is walking a different path. Some unknowingly heading toward destruction, some already lost, and some on the narrow path toward salvation. The first group is obvious. These are the ones who are openly opposed to God. They make no pretense, no claim to be something they're not. For them, I don't feel as much urgency. At least they're honest about where they stand. The second group is far more dangerous. These are the people who believe they are saved, but they are not. They go to church, they participate in religious rituals, they claim to believe in God, but in reality, they've never surrendered their lives to Jesus. They may have said a prayer or been baptized, but they've never fully committed. They are living with 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in the kingdom of God, and they are deceiving themselves into thinking that's enough. These people, the ones who have never fully given their hearts to Jesus, are the ones who hurt him the most. They are the ones who think they are safe, but their names are being erased from the book of life. They are the ones in the greatest danger. The third group is the true believers, the ones who have genuinely given their lives to Christ. But even among them, many are asleep. They are distracted by the busyness of life, by the pressures of the world, and they have no sense of urgency. They don't see how close the end is. They don't understand how fleeting time is. They have lost the sense of urgency that Jesus called his followers to have. They think there's still time to wait, to delay, to put off their commitment. But there isn't. Time is running out. Since returning, I find it impossible to look at a crowd of people without wondering how many are deceived, how many are walking on the wrong path, how many think they are saved when they are not. Everywhere I go, I see people who have no idea how close they are to the edge, how close they are to the door that is slowly closing. The weight of this burden is unbearable. How can I not speak up? How can I remain silent when I know the truth? How can I look into the eyes of someone and not wonder if they're heading toward destruction? The hardest part has been sharing what I've seen and felt. The responses have been varied. Some mock me, some try to silence me. But what's truly heartbreaking are those who listen, who know that I am telling the truth, but who still choose to wait. They say, "I believe in Jesus. Isn't that enough?" Or, "I'll get serious about God when I'm older." They don't understand that tomorrow is never guaranteed. I never imagined I would die at the age of 15. And when I saw the souls in hell, none of them had imagined they would end up there either. Death comes suddenly. It comes without warning. The spiritual attacks have only intensified since my return. Every night the enemy comes after me, trying to shake my faith. Sometimes it's a physical manifestation, a demon appearing right in front of me, a grotesque, nightmarish figure lurking in the corner of my room. Other times, it's people, well-meaning people, even Christians, who try to dismiss me, accusing me of being too radical, too intense, too frightening. But how can I soften the message that Jesus gave me to share? How can I ignore the calling to warn others? After everything I saw, after everything I experienced, how can I remain silent? I can't. Jesus didn't bring me back to live a normal life. He brought me back to warn others before it's too late. The message Jesus gave me is clear. Time is running out. Every time you reject His voice, every time you choose sin over Him, every time you delay your full surrender, your name is being erased from the book of life. And one day, it will be too late. The door will close and there will be no more chances. It could be today, tomorrow, or next week, but that door will close and it will be too late. This comfortable Christianity, this watered-down, lukewarm faith, is a lie. I saw it. I saw people who thought attending church or being a good person was enough. They thought they could wait until later to get serious about God, but they were wrong, and they are still wrong. The demons? They are real, and they are working overtime. Every time you justify sin, every time you choose the world over Jesus, you are falling into their trap. The darkness we see in the world today isn't coming. It's already here. It's all around us. The spiritual battle is raging right now. As you read these words, a battle is taking place for your soul. The enemy is trying to distract you, to convince you that you have more time, that a little bit of commitment is enough. But it's not. It never will be. The days of casual faith are over. Jesus made it clear to me. Half-hearted Christianity is not enough. A lukewarm faith will not save you. I've received thousands of messages since sharing my testimony. Some mock me. Some try to silence me. But others, they've heard the truth. They've responded. They've surrendered their hearts fully to Jesus. But still, so many remain deceived, living in the lies they've been told. Lies like, I'm a good person, God is love, He wouldn't send anyone to hell, or I believe in Jesus, but on my terms. What I saw made it clear to me. Believing in Jesus isn't enough. Even the demons believe. What matters is full surrender. Surrender of your heart, your will, your life to Jesus. Every night I pray for those who are still lost. I pray for those who think they're saved but aren't. For those who keep putting off making a real commitment to Jesus. I know what awaits them if they don't change. I saw it. I know it. And I wouldn't wish that fate on anyone. Religion isn't the answer. It's not about rituals or rules. It's about knowing Jesus, truly knowing Him. And when the end comes, nothing else will matter. Nothing. The only thing that will matter is whether you truly knew Jesus. I pray every day, even as I face more attacks, because I can't remain silent. Jesus loves you. He brought me back to tell you that He loves you. But He won't force you to choose Him. That decision is yours. But know this. Half-hearted Christianity is no Christianity at all. The time for casual faith is over. You can no longer live with one foot in the world and one foot in heaven. You must choose. I died. I saw heaven. I saw hell. And I was sent back to tell you. Time is running out. The door is closing. Don't wait until it's too late. This isn't just my story. It's a wake-up call. What will you do with it? Will you listen before it's too late? The choice is yours.